Yeah, remembering we're in the month of August. This is the month of celebrating Indonesia's Independence Day, which is every 17 August. In this segment, I would like to present to you some data about Indonesia's economic growth from independence era up until now. Let's see the first slide. This is the economic growth from President Soekarno era to President Jokowi era. We are taking the highest economic growth in every regime. President Soekarno, the growth of Indonesia's economic reaching 5.74%. In President Soeharto era, reaching 10.92%. In President B.J. Habibie, reaching 0.79%. In Abdurrahman Wahid era, reaching 4.92%. President Megawati era, 4.78%. And President SBY, 6.49%, and President Jokowi so far 5.27%. President Soeharto became a president when Indonesia's economy not in a good condition. Then in 1967, he formulated a law, number 1 of 1967, concerning foreign investment. Such effort opened a wide doors for investors to invest their capital in Indonesia. In the next year, Soeharto made a 5-year development plan, or Repelita, that triggered Indonesia's self-sufficiency. These programs brought Indonesia's economic towards economic growth up to 10.92% in 1970. But during Soeharto's regime, the economic activities are centralized in the government and being occupied by the president cronies. The condition had triggered bilateral investment countries withdraw their investment from the country and lead Indonesia entered economic crisis. In short, Indonesia economic growth has declined to be minus 13.13%. Replacing President Soeharto, President Baharudin Yusuf Habibie needed to tackle one of the biggest economic challenges, and that was recovering Indonesia's economic growth from minus 13.13% in 1998 to 0.79% in 1999. The achievement was the result of the implemented financial and monetary policies. And what are the indicators in Soeharto era that was causing an extreme economic growth? Let's see the next slide. These are the indicators of economic growth in Soeharto era. The first one is massive inflation control. The second one is maximum contribution of leading sectors to GDP, rupiah devaluation policy, and industrialization fast growth. Period 1966 to 1973 can be said as an economic transition year. In that period, Soeharto took policy to improve the Indonesia's economic condition. One of them was overcoming of hyperinflation. In the middle of 1983, a policy to develop the non-oil and gas export sector was done. Other than that, in his regime, Soeharto also devaluated as much as 38%. It was conducted to improve Indonesia's economic competitiveness. And in President B.J. Habibie era, some strategies were implemented to fix Indonesia's economic growth. What are the strategies? Let's check the next slide. These are the strategies that already implemented by President B.J. Habibie at his era. Tackling one of the biggest economic challenges, recovering Indonesia's economic condition at that time. The first strategy was making Bank of Indonesia being independent, closing 38 troubled banks and taking over 7 banks. He also canceled some infrastructure projects, stopping special treatment on national car project. And the this is actually the top 5 to be exact. Strategies in improving Indonesia's economy, prohibited Bulog and Pertamina monopoly practices. B.J. Habibie faces a huge homework. One of them is fixing the ruined state economic condition and causing the loss of public trust in the government. The swift and effective strategies resulted positive impact. 1 year later, economic growth appears improving from minus 13% to became 2%. The inflation rate also decreased from 77.6% to only 2%. And how about Indonesia's economic growth in President Jokowi era? Let's see the next slide. In 2015, the growth of the of Indonesia's economic reaching 4.79%. In 2016, reaching 5.02%. In 2017, 5.07%. And in 2018, the economic growth reaching 5.17%. In 2014, actually, Indonesia's economic growth reached 5.02%. And in the meantime, Indonesia economic growth in 2015 at 4.79%. This is the first time of Indonesia's economic growth being under 5% since 2009. Few reasons causing such condition are the decreasing of export performance and the slowing down of commodity price. And what are the challenge of Indonesia's economic growth in the near future? Let's see the last slide. This one is the statement from Sri Mulyani Indrawati. She is the Minister of Finance of Indonesia. She said that the next challenge of Indonesia in the near future in terms of economic growth are increasing the Fed interest rate, United States trade war with China, as well as the fluctuation of the world oil price and the decrease of the world economic projection. According to Sri Mulyani, the government of Indonesia continues to adjust global economic conditions through various policies, begin from fiscal, monetary, and also real sectors. And that's it for today's graphic presentation. Stay tuned because we'll be right back after the break.